What time is it? Grace asks. She's standing in the patio doors. She shoos away the morning meat of crane flies. We could make our own cider, Rowan says, watching the trees, waiting for fruit to fall. He makes bets with himself which will fall next. When he loses, he cheats. Rowan, down there at the end of the garden it stinks of cider, all those apples and pears fermenting like that. We can make our own. What do you know about making cider? She says, already with her back to him, walking into the kitchen, already knowing the answer. Rowan pops his lips when a pear hits the thick grass, sodden in dew. They don't usually fall this early, he says. He's determined now, and thirsty. I need a tub to put them in. Yeah. The clock on the microwave reads 6:24, now 6:25. 3 hours they've slept. Grace leans over the sink, full of dirty dishes, and shuts the window. Rowan unholsters a beer. The can cracks with a fizz and hiss. She runs water into the kettle, watching him. Unlaced boots, long johns, spilling beer onto his Disneyland t-shirt. Walking among the leaves, kicking up dew, wielding the rake like he's descending from a long line of rakemen. His feet are buried in the leaves and in the grass, and her feet tingle on the cold tiles of the kitchen, like she can feel what he feels. She pinches herself to see if he flinches. She slaps herself to see if he cries. Tying her dressing gown, she feels she's too skinny. She forgot what hungry tastes like. She tries to see herself like he says he sees her, but she can't. The picture doesn't conjure. In the garden, Rowan grunts while pulling the rake hard against the grass with the fingers of the rake scratching up the earth. He holds the small of his back and says, "Fucking hell." Her teaspoon tinkles in the mug as she stirs in the milk for his cup of tea. What are they to do but repeat what they know? The bin smells of rot, like dead things coming alive. The smell sticks to his fingers, and he rubs his hands together till hot worms of dirt grow on his palms. When the bin's full, he stands it against the trunk of the tree. He climbs up and, hanging from a branch, steps inside the bin, squashing it down with his boots and his weight, holding his breath while he does it. As he climbs down, he thinks this would be a good tree to learn to climb. It has nubs for footholders, perfectly smooth handles of wood to reach, and the way the trunk turns into branches that open like a hand. Floorboards could lie there, and to his right, a window with a telescope. But he can't plan for the future, you dickhead. Besides, winter's round the corner. He might need this for firewood. Rowan returns the rake to the shed and closes himself inside. Hops? Yeast? He'll have to Google it. He won't. He's throwing the fruit away. They're already packed into the bins with the churned grass and mush of dead leaves. It's better to keep things as ideas. Ideas don't break. Like the idea this is normal, doing the gardening on a Monday morning, instead of going to work. Like Jean and Alan won't call up Ma and say in patronising tones that they're worried, that maybe they should come over. He should get a new lawnmower. This one stinks of old petrol. Stacked in front, tins of paint and drops of blue on the floor. He rubs it with the toe of his boot, but it doesn't budge. The sun is bright in a cloudless sky. Light bleeds through the spaces between the leaves and throws patterns onto the grass. She stands in the frame of the patio doors again, frowning the light away from her eyes. It's early. This early is too clear. Everything is too clear and simple, as if yesterday was the last day of the storm, when really it was only just the beginning. She gives Rowan his cup of tea when he joins her on the patio. He cups his hand over the mug, then warms his chin on the steam. It's this small act that makes her realise they're the same. He only wants to be safe and warm and okay with it all. "What about the tub?" she says, pointing her nose to the bins. "It's just a rotten mess." "Isn't that what it's supposed to be?" "I told you last month. I said to pick them." He says, angry now about something, his voice a sourness in the silence of the morning. "For cider." "Yes, exactly," he says. "I don't know. It doesn't matter." She walks to the lip of the patio and leans her weight back and forth. Grace uses her t-shirt to wipe her face, and it rides up at the back, showing maps of stretched skin. He sips his tea carefully. He thinks back to the summer when everything was ripe and the fruit dangled from the trees in golden colours. If he unfocuses his eyes, the garden melts, and the more he focuses on nothing, the more the kaleidoscopic palette of browns and red and earth and grey join in tiny honeycombs of colour. Next year, he says, next year we'll pick them. Can you stop with that? She walks onto the grass, noticing something. He'd seen it too, but her now asking this question means he did see it. It wasn't a ghost. What's that? Look, she asked. It's nothing, he says, leaning back on his chair. Maybe a squirrel got drunk. She hikes the bottom of the gown away from the dewy grass as she kneels. Hey, maybe we should get a dog, he says, but Grace isn't listening. She calls him over, pointing to a burgundy blur beneath the thorns. He kneels and lowers his neck. In the bush, a fox, his coat matted with gunk. Grace asks something, but it's lost with the sense of something larger lurking in the brush. He goes to push the fox. If she doesn't see it, it's like it never happened. So as he pushes the fox jitters and turns. It makes a noise. She's behind him now, on her knees. She asks if it's dead. He nods his head. The fox jitters again and settles. No, it's not. Look, she says. She doesn't understand. He's struck by a premonition of them as parents, a child in the park with a broken arm, and no one there to help them. She asks him what to do, but he fetches the gloves from the greenhouse, and they're too big for him, and he has to keep his hands clenched to stop them slipping off. Reaching under the bush, he slides one hand underneath the fox and brings it out onto the grass. It's lost its back legs somehow. He suggests calling the vets, or maybe 111 or the RSPCA. Stop it, she says. She fetches the spade from the greenhouse. His face is white under the sweat. She fingers the edge of the blade, picking off clumps of earth. Is this? She asks, seeking permission. I don't know, he says. He waits for Grace to hand him the spade, but it doesn't come. She keeps hold of the spade and doesn't offer it. Her knuckles pop white as she grips and feels the spine. He can hear the miss and fetch of his own breath. She brings it down and the spade sticks firm in the ground and doesn't move. The colours run out of the fox and stain the grass. It's grey now, a greyness that follows him. I don't want to see it, she says, eyes closed. Okay, he says, but she turns around anyway and catches sight of the handful. Did it hurt, you think? He shrugs. Well done. It was the right thing. I think so. I know so. Now what? Should we put it in the bin? She says. The parts are cold already. Through the gloves, he can feel how cold. Don't be stupid, he says. She waits, standing over the gloves and the fox he left on the grass by her feet, like a little shrine. He kicks off his boots by the patio doors and she follows him inside. She waits, hearing his feet on the ceiling. Through the window, she watches the gloves to see if they move. But he comes down with the blanket, still in its packaging. We're not using that, she says. Why not? He holds eyes with her, maybe a moment too long, a moment long enough for it to ask a question, to say something. He bites into the plastic and tears it open.